Basketball season is in full swing. We'll talk about the rough weekend in Lawrence, and we bring you exclusive coverage regarding the speculation around Charlie Strong's future in Austin. This is College Pressbox. Good evening and welcome to College Pressbox. I'm your host, Emily Stone. Thanks for joining us on this Monday evening. This past weekend, the Texas Longhorns fell to the Kansas Jayhawks in Lawrence, where our very own Jessica Robinson was there to capture all the action.
Another strong start, and Texas crumbles. An overtime loss of 24-21 to a team that hasn't won a Big 12 matchup in 19 straight games left the Horns in shock.
It was there for us. I mean, it was no reason for us not to even just go out and just go finish the game.
We could have put the game away early, and to go to overtime and lose, it hurts.
We just got to do better, you know. They started tipping on us. We should have calmed down and just played the way we was playing the whole game, you know. They was opening up scenes. They were missing tackles. We can't miss tackles. The whole game we was playing well, not missing tackles. And at the end, started missing tackles. Something else.
Deontay Foreman broke Earl Campbell's record with 12 straight 100-yard games, but the heart-wrenching loss shadowed his achievement.
I appreciate it, but right now I don't even care about it, honestly. We lost. We put the ball on the ground twice, and I feel like that hurt our team. You know, I'm a person that feel like I'm a leader of this team, leader of this offense, and for me to put the ball on the ground 2 times, I feel like, you know, it's my fault.
Texas lost to Kansas tonight for the first time since 1938, and Kansas fans were so excited that they stormed the field after the game and also took down the goalpost once seen behind me. Another devastating road loss leaves Charlie Strong's job in question.
I love Coach Strong, so that's my dog. No matter what, I love him, but I say that's not our decision. We can't make that decision. It's the AD and all the men up there.
I know everyone in that room loves Coach Strong and do anything for Coach Strong. So this game is gonna, you know, test our will for him and going into our last game against TCU.
When asked about his future, Charlie was speechless.
No idea.
Texas faces TCU Friday, the boys fighting to be bowl eligible and to keep their coach around. Jessica Robinson, College Pressbox.
The loss naturally put Charlie Strong's future at Texas in question more than ever before. Eric Goodman was at Coach Strong's regularly scheduled press conference this morning, where some light was shed on Strong's status in Austin.
Charlie Strong will get one more chance to play for his job as Longhorns head football coach. University President Greg Fenves and Athletic Director Mike Perrin told Strong that his future at Texas will be evaluated after Friday's season finale against TCU. Strong addressed the media moments ago here in the Centennial Room at Texas Memorial Stadium and had powerful words in support of his players and himself.
When you look at the recruiting classes that we've put together and you look at the young men now that are in the program, I mean, you got a guy right now that's finalist for the Ray Guy Award. You have a running back who's going to win the Doak Walker Award. You have a lineman that's up for a special award, and all those guys are young guys. So, and then you look within the program, the character and class that they exhibit and how they carry themselves. And so when you go back to that, then you know this, that the program is going and is heading in the right direction. This group of guys is going to win a national championship. I said it to them. That group of guys will win a national, and I feel like strong about that statement.
Strong came into the weekend with the worst winning percentage by a head coach in school history, but even still, all signs pointed to Strong retaining his job for a 4th season. That was until the Longhorns fell on the road to Kansas on Saturday. The Jayhawks hadn't beaten an FBS opponent since 2014 and hadn't beaten Texas since before World War II. Many called it the kind of loss that gets a coach fired, and while that may prove to be the case in a week's time, for now, Charlie Strong and only Charlie Strong is the Longhorns coach. From Texas Memorial Stadium, I'm Eric Goodman, College Pressbox.
Eric joins us now alongside football analyst Steve Helwick. Guys, how are y'all?
Doing well, thanks.
All right, Eric, you were at that press conference today. What was the atmosphere like in the room?
It was truly something I'd never experienced before in any sports environment here at Texas. Normally at these press conferences, Coach Strong will always speak on a Monday for about a half an hour, followed by 3, 4, sometimes 5 players, and that's all members of the Texas staff that you see there. But today, over 30 members of the Texas team were there in support of their coach. Obviously, rumors had been circulating the night before from reliable news sources like ESPN and the Austin American-Statesman that Charlie's had already been fired by Greg Fenves. That appeared not to be the case. And after hearing those words from Charlie Strong and from kind of assessing the mood that has been this way all season, the support that Strong has received from the athletic director and president of the university, I truly believe that he is coaching for his job at TCU with the opportunity to retain it with a victory.
And guys, what happened during that Kansas game?
Turnovers happen. It doesn't matter if you're playing Kansas or Alabama. When you commit 6 turnovers, it's going to be very tough to win football games. And Texas failed to execute down the stretch with that 21-10 lead. The offense became predictable, running 70% of plays. Kansas was able to stop Foreman late, and then the offense for Kansas just clicked on that final possession. Texas nearly sealed the game with that interception, but just couldn't hang on, had a targeting penalty, and Kansas could just come back and execute off of Texas's 6 turnovers.
And here's the conundrum when you look at this Texas football team. The love for their coach is there, and it's there in levels that you don't see anywhere else in the country. These players adore their coach. They adore him as a man and as their head football coach. But for whatever reason, and no one has been able to figure this out, Steve, that doesn't translate to the field. Do you have any ideas as to why?
The players just, maybe they haven't been as motivated or passionate. It's easy to overlook Kansas when Kansas just had 1 win, not even over an FBS team before the year. And I think they just overlooked it going into Lawrence.
You just look at a team like Kansas, and those trap games, as they're often called, are usually, you look at the coach as the one figure that can put the team over the fence, kind of get their mind right for this game. You just have to wonder at that point if Charlie Strong's message of character building, of building personality and personal relationships, which he does better than anybody, he just doesn't, the game plan just doesn't follow for Coach Strong into the Longhorns' play on the field, followed by some shaky play calling and then obviously turnovers like you mentioned.
And guys, going into this week against TCU, what can happen from here?
Well, like I said, Charlie Strong does have a very real chance in my mind to at least make a very good case to stay for a 4th season. The only thing is that Texas has that figure, Tom Herman, coaching very successfully at Houston, who provides that greener pasture, that possible exciting new option that is there, and that every Texas fan, at least in some form, has thought about and considered what would a change look like, what would the success look like afterwards. A loss to TCU, I think that's damning for the fate of Charlie Strong. But again, a win, bowl eligibility, perhaps a bowl win. I think the future is certainly there for Charlie Strong in Texas should his team finally play for their coach the way that they have been all season hoping they would.
You mentioned bowl eligibility, and Texas is not the only team playing for that this game. TCU is actually sitting at 5-5 with a great coach in Gary Patterson, and they are playing for the same thing as Texas. They have a loss 31-6 to Oklahoma State at home, and they are upset about that. They're going to play with same fire and emotion that Texas is going to be. So Charlie Strong's job may very much be a fate here because with a loss, he'll probably be out. But I think he should stick around. Players get 4 chances, 4 years to prove themselves in college. Why shouldn't a coach? Why can't a coach just develop his players, his recruits to upperclassmen? Look at Mike McIntyre in Colorado. He had 2 conference wins, 2 4-win seasons, and a 2-win season in his first 3 years. Right now, Colorado's in the top 10. I think Charlie Strong, with his recruiting, could make a huge turnaround at Texas, and it could be sooner rather than later, and I think he should get one more chance to
And Emily,
coach.
I agree. I'd say one final thing on this topic. With Charlie Strong's future uncertain, I think regardless of what happens, the entire university owes him a huge thank you for the incredible job he's done building this program into something we all can be proud of as students and really look up to as our football program.
Eric, Steve, always happy to have y'all on. Coming up, we take a look at what happened this past week on the 40 acres. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to College Pressbox. Joining me in the studio is Bailey Abramowitz. Bailey, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. It was a really exciting weekend this week for Texas. Texas track and field finished 30th at their 8th consecutive NCAA championships this weekend. Senior Robert Erb finished first for Texas in 166th place at 31 minutes and 20 seconds, followed immediately by true freshman Spencer Dodds in 167th place at 31 minutes and 21 seconds. Texas narrowed the time spread between their top 5 runners to 16.9 seconds, which was the closest on the field, and finished with 736 points, making an improvement from last season.
Number 7 Texas volleyball handed head coach Jarrett Elliott his 400th win after the Longhorns defeated Kansas State 3-1. The Longhorns held a .449 hitting percentage with 56 kills on 98 swings, and Texas will continue their at-home play when the Longhorns host West Virginia on November 26th.
Texas hosted the Swimming and Diving Invitational this past weekend, where All-American senior Mark Anderson won 2 titles. He was in a close race against Arizona State's David Hoffer and down by 1.9 points until the final dive, where he won with a total of 430.75 points. In the finals, freshman Reed Merritt placed 4th with 392.25 points, and freshman Jacob Cornish placed 5th with 373.8 points. The women won 2 of their 3 events, with sophomore Sophia Rousey placing 5th with 231.75 points, and freshman Allison Gibson and sophomore Megan O'Brien each winning their race.
Number 8 women's basketball fell to Mississippi State this past weekend 79-68. The Longhorns were led by junior Brooke McCarty with 19 points and 4 assists, but it was not enough to overcome the 17-point deficit that was handed to the Longhorns in the first half. Texas will return to the Frank Erwin Center to play Northwestern State on November 23rd.
Texas basketball won over Louisiana Monroe and Eastern Washington last week. We caught up with Reese Miller, who went to the game against Louisiana Monroe Monday.
A new season means a clean slate, hopes and dreams for trophies in March, and the first games for a freshman class taking over Longhorn basketball.
They've been learning so much, over the past few weeks. This freshman group is a lot more talented than we were when we came in, and probably a lot more better.
It's enthusiastic. Everybody is eager to play. Everybody's eager to practice. Everybody's eager to learn. The guys on the team, great personalities, so everybody's joking around, stuff like that.
James Banks was part of what ESPN ranked the 11th best recruiting class in the nation, and he's one of 4 freshman top 100 players on this year's roster that might be exciting enough to reignite the Longhorn fan base.
Texas basketball has a big hill to climb, and that hill's name's football. Texas, as a basketball school, is showing some life, and I think that has to do with the change of coaches. I covered Rick Barnes and his incredible basketball team. It had become stagnant and moribund. And now with Shaka Smart, this dynamic figure down on the court, I think something special is happening.
Before every home game, Shaka Smart walks out of this tunnel and onto the court. He looks up and sees these banners showing Texas hasn't made the Final Four since 2003. He's looking to change that, but his biggest challenge could come off the court.
These guys figuring out how much as a team, as players, they need each other. Especially, for our freshman guys that were kind of the center of everything in their high school world.
This year's team is tasked with replacing 5 seniors and an all-Big 12 junior. They went through Navy SEAL off-season training and have lived together since the summer. Smart hopes that continuity, talent, and youth can add another banner to the Longhorn rafters. Reese Miller, College Press Box.
Bailey, thank you so much for joining us in the studio. It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
When we come back, we step away from the 40 acres and look at what happened this past weekend in college football. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to College Press Box's newest segment, Unhooked. I'm Katerina Biancardi alongside my favorite co-host, Luke Henry. Luke, we're shifting past the somber 40 acres to recapping another thrilling weekend of college football.
Kat, 10 of the top 11 college football playoff ranked teams got the win this weekend, the exception being the 5th-ranked Louisville Cardinals, who faced Houston at TDECU Stadium. Louisville and Houston getting underway. Big game for Tom Herman. Opening kickoff in this one, Kyrese Cannon catches it in just inside the end zone, runs into his own player, fumbles the ball. Houston recovers at the 8-yard line.
Still in the first half, quarterback Ward, a junior, goes to Luke Catalong for the touchdown. This will be the beginning of Houston's dominating offense.
Houston rolling really early. Little trickery here. Chance Allen wide open. 55-yard touchdown for Houston, 31-0 Cougars.
Now Louisville with the ball. Jackson is trying to make something happen here, putting the team on his back, and he will go for the run all the way almost to the 50-yard line. And this is something that you'll find out he cannot do himself.
To the third quarter we go. Louisville's opening drive, a little flip over to Cole Hicatine for the score, 31-7 Cougars.
Jackson still trying, but he fumbles the ball on the 8-yard line. It just was not good enough for Louisville this game. And so the Cougars go on to win this 36-10, and this is a big win for Tom Herman. Now the Houston-Louisville game goes down as our upset of the week, and now we turn to our best offensive play.
Kat, the North Carolina Tar Heels offense has come in play very, very much this season, from the comeback win over Pittsburgh to the game-winning field goal against Florida State. And this play against Citadel is no exception.
That's right, Luke. No exception indeed. Now, folks, take a look at this. At Carolina, Carolina quarterback Mitch Trubisky fires a 23-yard pass to running back T.J. Logan with the one-handed catch. Luke, one-handed catch there. What does that look like to you?
Showing a little bit of Michael Jordan from the 23-yard line.
That is for sure. That number 23 runs deep in Chapel Hill. Carolina defeats Citadel 41-7 and will take down on-the-road rival NC State on Friday. Now, Luke, we're shifting our focus now to the other side of the ball, to our best defensive play. Luke, based on the box score, number 16 LSU should have beaten number 23 Florida, but the Gators entered hungry in Death Valley for a win.
It was no surprise that this SEC matchup came down to the last play of the game. Florida defense very, very strong all game long. 3 seconds ended up remaining in that one, and they ended up getting a goal line stand, 4th and goal over the LSU Tigers. Florida went on to win this one. They will face Florida State on Saturday, and then actually clinching the SEC title, East title in that game, will face Alabama in the SEC championship game on December 3rd.
And you know, that was a big win for Florida. Oh, so now rounding out our tonight's football discussion, it's what you've all been waiting for, college football playoff. Now, our only guaranteed team is the undefeated Crimson Tide, and even though Coach Nick Saban said he was embarrassed by his team's performance in their last game, they are a shoo-in for sure. But Luke, who are other 3 contenders?
I think this rivalry week stands true to be a very determining weekend for college football. You look at Clemson, Michigan, Ohio State, and Washington. All of them have big games. Clemson suffered their first defeat of the season 2 weeks ago, but the Tigers bounced back with an impressive win, 35-13 over Wake Forest, and claimed the ACC Atlantic Division. But the Tigers, if they want a spot in the top 4, they have to defeat their foe, South Carolina, and also win the ACC title game, all important on December 6th.
And we know, Luke, with all these rivalry games, anything can happen. And now, as far as the Pac-12, the Washington Huskies rebounded from their loss against USC last week by rounding out Arizona State 44-18. But Washington must win the Apple Cup at Washington State to claim the Pac-12 North Championship. But, Luke, we've saved the best rivalry for last. What's next?
No doubt the biggest rivalry of the weekend, Michigan, Ohio State, Wolverines and Buckeyes in Columbus on Saturday. The college football world will all be watching. There's no doubt that the result in the horseshoe will all but determine both Michigan and Ohio State's playoff fate.
Does it get you chills or just me?
It does.
It does.
Huge game. Huge game.
Huge game. And needless to say, Weekend 12 was nothing short than entertaining, but Weekend 3 will bring the heat. And that's all we have for Unhooked.
Up next, we'll take it back to the 40 acres for a bittersweet remarks from a Texas senior. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to College Press Box. Thanks for sticking with us. Let's take a look at what's to come this week in Longhorn sports. On Monday, November 21st, men's basketball versus Northwestern at the Legends Classic, and you can catch that on ESPN3 or Longhorn Network. Tuesday, November 22nd, men's basketball at the Legends Classic on ESPNU or ESPN2. Wednesday, November 23rd, women's basketball versus Northwestern State at 7 p.m. on Longhorn Network. And Friday, November 25th, football versus TCU, 2:30 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. Saturday, November 26th, volleyball versus West Virginia, 1 p.m., and you can catch that on Longhorn Network. Before we go, we have a last-minute thought on the Charlie Strong discussion. This morning, Paul Boyette was asked why this universal love for Charlie hasn't translated to the field.
I really can't answer that question because when you look at it, we're as talented as any team in the Big 12. Any team in the Big 12. And for me, it's not the way I want to go out. Anybody want to do this. It is what it is. I mean, only thing we can do is go out here, enjoy Thanksgiving with them, enjoy Thanksgiving with our loved ones, fellowship with our coaches, and go out there and just play for one another and play for him. I love Coach Strong, and I really do love him.
And that is all we have for tonight's episode. You can catch us here every Monday night at 9:30, and you can follow us on Twitter at College Pressbox for the latest updates in Longhorn sports. And for the best sports debate show on the 40 acres, watch our sister show, College Crossfire, airing Wednesdays at 9:30. From all of us here in the studio and in Master Control, thank you for spending your evening with us. Have a happy Thanksgiving and good night.